this is the song that's going to change my life again, because I've had songs change my life. So I know that feeling of, oh, we just wrote something big. In saying that, most people think they wrote something big every day. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
We have to
I'm not
kind of
like
think
that.
that. Oh, okay.
You do, but I generally I write enough songs to know that not every day is the day that you write something that changes your life. So that when I do write something that feels just that level up of like everything just feels another class above what you've been writing, and then everything just clicks, and then you go to sing it and it sits in the perfect part of your voice, and you listen back to it on the way home and you're like, holy shit.
Welcome to the Funny in Failure podcast, a podcast that celebrates failure and shines the light on the emotional side of comedy and life with yours truly, Michael Kahan. Today's chat was a real treat. Conrad has lived many lives and achieved so much. Plus, he's reflective, deep, and honest. It's a rare and beautiful trait. I wish I had more time with Conrad. He also has an amazing journey of self-discovery and health. This one's a deep dive. Also for the Aussies, check out his massive tour with his sister Grace in June. You won't want to miss it. Plus, he's also released a new single, Deserve, and it's great. Check it out as well. Both are in the episode notes as well. Okay, let's get into it. Conrad Sewell is an ARIA Award-winning multi-platinum selling singer and songwriter. Conrad became a household name with his first official solo endeavour, teaming up with dynamic Norwegian DJ and producer Kygo for the smash hit Firestone, which we've all heard. It's generated over 1 billion streams on Spotify alone, which is crazy. Since then, Conrad has never looked back, going large with Healing Hands, and secured a #1 charting and platinum certified single by 2015, Start Again, which also took home the ARIA Music Award for Song of the Year, before going on to release 2 studio albums, tour the globe extensively, all while continuing to enamour with his soulful approach to pop music that is authentic as it is memorable. He's toured with Ed Sheeran and Maroon 5, performances at Madison Square Garden and Coachella, appeared on Jimmy Fallon and Good Morning America, and praise from Rolling Stone, Entertainment Weekly, Teen Vogue, Vice, and NBC. So as you can imagine, we dive deep and we cover a lot, and we chat about hitting over 1 billion streams for his song, Firestone, and what Spotify gave him, authenticity and trusting your gut, social media and being in front of a camera, his health journey, self-discovery, flow, good collaboration and bad collaboration, musical magic, ego, leaving the band, plus plenty more. I was going through your Instagram and I love it. And you got a Spotify bowl for 1 billion plays. I'd love to know why they give a bowl and what was the first meal you ate on the bowl.
Um, they give a bowl. I have no idea why it's a bowl. It's something they created, I guess. But needless to say, it's something that I always wanted. Ever since I saw Drake eating out of his.
Yeah.
Um, but it took a while for them to send it to me. And I think the first thing I ate was a spicy rigatoni pasta that I made, and I poured into it, and filmed myself eating that. And I probably poured some beer in it at some point and drank out of it as well. I think I had a bit of a big weekend that weekend, so I was probably doing all sorts of things off it and on it and in it.
Ed, why did you pick the pasta of all the foods?
Just one of my favorite meals. I try and recreate the rigatoni from Carbone in New York whenever I get a chance at home.
Yeah.
It's never quite the same, but I'm working on it. I'm working on the signature recipe.
Do you ever like go to like family or friends and you for lunch or dinner and you have to like bring a dish and you're like, oh, what's this? And just put the Spotify bowl with all the food on top and it's a great conversation starter, the whole pack, or just at home, you don't bring it out?
No, it's definitely hung up. It's hung up in my studio now, so I only get to flex when people come to the studio, but
Yep.
there's lots of plaques in my house. But it's one of those things when you start getting plaques, people think that you're lame if you put them up. Whereas I'm like, oh, it's such a nice side of my achievements and all my years of hard work. Whereas
Yeah.
my sister and other people will be like, you're such a show off. Like, take your plaques down. but I'm all about it. So I'm trying to get as many as possible.
I love that. Do you ever just want to, where do you like, I know you said it was in the studio. One of my
Hmm.
friends, he won Accountant of the Year and yeah, for like Excel spreadsheets, really fun stuff. He made sure as soon as you walk into the house, that's the first thing you see. So have you ever considered putting all of your bowls and your plaques and all your medals and everything like on the door so people are forced to talk about it?
Yeah, my LA apartment, I was that was my setup. It was right as you walked in, so it was point as soon as you walked in. But no, like I said, most of the women in my life have slowly made me take the plaques down, so I'm a bit more humble.
Oh, I love that. You've got some good people in your life. And isn't it crazy though? Like, I'm sure you reflect on this. Obviously, you've done so much in your career, but over 1 billion plays. Like, that's a number that is so large, it's hard to put into words. How,
Yeah, it is. It's a number that is now is like just sort of attached to my name, and that sounded like such a cocky thing to say. It. I don't mean it like that. I mean it like I'm sure it's like any achievement when people finally get it. It's like it becomes blasé, but and you don't think about it. You know what I mean? Like if you were an Oscar-winning actor or whatever, Grammy or nominated Grammy award-winning artist, um, I'm sure it's like one of those titles. You once you get it, it's like just a nice tick on the resume, but you don't actually fathom how many plays that is or think about it. But
yeah,
whenever I do, like when you just said that just then, uh, it is a crazy number. Do you know what I mean? And like, obviously, it's extremely hard to do, and it shows you whatever song has done that is a song that most of the world probably knows, which is incredible. So I
yeah.
think as much as I do not think about it, I it's lovely when you were reminded in an interview like this or something like that, and you just sort of be like, wow, that is a crazy achievement, and it's a super special thing.
Do you ever sit back and because I know you've spoken about this, every artist I've spoken to, it's all about what's next and jealousy and comparing. Have you do you ever and I also think like during COVID you said that you had a deep look into yourself and you're asking yourself a lot of questions. Are you ever able to just sit back, relax and go, you know what? I've actually done a lot. Look at all of these songs. Look at the impact I've had. I'm helping a lot of people. I'm inspiring people. Or is it still like on to the next one? What's the next big song?
Yeah, very very rarely do I have those moments. I probably had about that moment twice in my life so far,
Mm.
and it'll be super random. And it was super random. Just like I think what to answer your question, no. It's always on to the next one. Always, what's the next achievement? What's the next tour? What's the next song? How can we be bigger? How can we continue to grow? Um, I'm very much, yeah, very much looking towards the future, which I know is bad, and it's nice to be in the present and to think it's to have those moments. Every now and then, I think it's nice when you do have those moments. I had one recently where I don't know why, but I was listening to my catalog. Like I think I was listening to trying to find a song, and I was listening to a bunch of my own music, which I don't often do.
Mm.
And it was like on a Spotify playlist though, so I was hearing songs that were on my EP and on album cuts that I haven't heard for ages, and I was just like, oh, there's a beautiful body of work out there,
Yeah.
and I'm proud of a lot of the songs the songs that aren't hits and songs that were just on an album or on an EP, and especially the last album I put out, Precious. So, I put everything into that album, and it's a really beautiful body of work. And to go back and listen to that, it's a nice reminder that it is still about the art, because you find it's so often, and so much of the job now is about social media and being on the platforms, and just selling all the time yourself, that you forget that, it's actually about the music. And it's like to know that I've still put out quality work, and I haven't let it let the work, suffer.
Yeah.
Um, feels good.
That's very rare because you've also spoken about this. You have many record labels, executives, managers, agents, and you've spoken about, and as of every artist on this podcast, spoke about the fakeness of the industry. The you don't really trust them, and they say you have to go one way, and you can be swayed in a different direction. And I know that
Mm.
you probably would have. How nice is it to know? And you've also spoken about trusting your gut. How nice is it to know like you can honor your intuition and you know be authentic to you and your craft.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's super important. I think it takes a while for people to figure that out. It's taken me a long time.
Mm.
But yeah, I feel like the more for any new artist coming up, the more you can trust that, and the more you can just figure out a way of being unique to yourself and whatever music you want to create, then do that as early as possible. Also, it's a different time as well. Like when I grew up, it was different. So when I was coming up in the industry, it was different. There was a lot more, um, straight pop stuff happening. That was a lot more curated. Whereas now it's, I feel like the more unique, the better.
Oh, is that like the different trends and can you expand on that?
I just think that like even when we're up as a society, do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're in the 90s and 2000s, it's like if you weren't a straight white male, it's like like there's so many. We're now it's like embracing change and being different, and like now it's almost the opposite. It's like
Yeah.
so now whatever makes you is a great thing and it's embraced. So whereas before, I don't think it was that. It would be embraced eventually after the rock stars smashed it over your head,
Yeah.
and it'd be embraced in like a badass way. But like, nowadays, look at something like Peach PRC or whatever. Like, she really is embracing her story of who she is and her past and stuff, and you see it everywhere. Um, People just being themselves, and that's what people fall in love with.
I agree. And also in life, just being authentic. You want to know that you're speaking to a human just in real life and not just like some version of 20 different things. Obviously, that's important to take elements and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I try to bring that as much as possible in my own way. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm very authentically myself in interviews and try and do that on social media, even though that's really fucking hard to do that when you
You
got
do
to
it
turn the
great.
camera on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like it. Thank you. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I don't think I'll ever feel completely normal or natural turning the camera and just talking to the camera. But I'm working on it because that's a part of it, and you really need to figure out a way to let the fans in and let them know you like they were just standing there next to you or going for a run with you and you were having a chat with your mate, because it's like
Mm.
that's what they need, that access now, because they're getting it from everyone else. So it's like, it's you either want to give it or somebody else is going to give it to them.
That's something I've always found hard with speaking to the camera with no one there, but I have gone through your social media and you do it very well. Has that been a natural thing for you, or
Thanks,
you
man.
just realize it's part of the game and
Yeah, I've really struggled with it. I think I think it's just natural to struggle with being okay with that and being like, oh, should I post that? Should I not?
mm,
I think it's more of accepting that that's what it is and letting go of the what people will say, because people are going to say whatever they're going to say anyway. But so for me, it's been more of its acceptance of like, fuck what people think.
oh,
Um, yeah.
I know you've gone on a big journey with all of this, but maybe this would be a good place to kind of tie it in. When you were talking about like authenticity, potentially when you were starting out, I'm sure you had a lot of people say, no, Conrad, you have to do this type of music, or you are only working with DJs and stuff like that. And then alluding to what you were talking about, gut, was that kind of hard to hear all of these different opinions and kind of navigate who you are and who you are as a person and an artist?
Yeah, I think it was more like, man, to me, being an artist and this journey I have been on in the music industry has been a journey of self-discovery on a human being level, not on anything to do
Yes.
with. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it started off about music, but it's just been more of a music's been the soundtrack to me figuring out my life, and it's been my career. But it's been, it's so much more than that to me. It's like
Mm.
it's how I figure things out. It's how I look back and think, learn things. It's how I celebrate. It's everything. And yeah, so yeah, that I don't know. I'm sorry. I lost my.
No, I think it's great because we're more than our art, but also your art is an avenue for self-exploration, for discovery, for understanding who you are. It'd be very cathartic,
Exactly.
pouring everything into a song.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's not a career to me. It is a career to me, obviously, but it's just who I am, a part of who I am, and it's a part of how I figure things out. And, I'm okay with that for now. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe I can still have moments of just enjoying it and, entertaining people, and moments where I'm just listening to a song or doing something like that and it feels great. But um, yeah, it's part of who I am, really. So it's a pretty big deal.
How exciting is it when you may be performing and something comes out that you didn't know where it came from, or you're writing something and you look back and go, I didn't write that, or those moments of flow. I know that you're quite a
Yeah,
spiritual guy.
yeah, that's amazing when that happens. I mean, that's energy, right? I mean, there's so much of that in music, and like connections with other people, whether that's, people in your band on stage, and like you have the moment where like someone lands on the same chord, and I'll hear something, and it's like we'll both look at each other on stage and it'd be like, it's cosmic. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a cosmic
Yes.
connection through music. And that happens quite often with me and my band. And I love it, and we've spoke about it quite often, actually, like backstage at gigs, and that sort of connection that you get from making and playing music together live.
Mm.
And then I've had it in the studio as well, writing, and like it just, the words flow out of you, and it's an incredible feeling, and one that I'm lucky enough to get with what I do. I don't know that you get that in many other things, many other
Mm.
jobs. And that's what I mean by it's more than a job to me. It's more than, it's everything. It's like it's a way that my universe moves around.
Oh, I love that. I love these type of conversations. I do screenwriting. So occasionally,
Mm.
maybe I'm meditating. I've spoken about this a few times, but it still blows my mind and I don't understand it. I'm meditating and I just feel something and I'm just jotting down notes. And then I've written a movie, I've written TV shows just from like,
Right.
and how do you, what
Stream,
best allow, say that again?
a stream of consciousness kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the best
Yeah,
way that I
yeah.
know how to describe it. And it's just it's such a magical feeling. You can almost feel like the hairs on your arm lifted up and you just cannot explain it, but that feeling is crazy. And so for you to have moments
Yeah,
like
no.
that with your band or when you're writing, isn't that just like the greatest feeling that's not spoken about in the world?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's very, like I said, it's like a magical thing that happens. So yeah, I feel very blessed and grateful that I've I chose to walk down this path and take the risks that are in front of you when you know get started out in the music industry. And because yeah, it pays off in the ways that we're talking about right now, having those experiences.
Agreed. And I want to talk about how you started because that's also crazy, but also a really important point that you just said. It's the self learning and growth within within what you're doing, which you can't put a number on it. Like I used to be an accountant. I wasn't learning that much about myself. There are obviously people that do, but now like going to the more
Yeah.
creative side, I'm learning a lot. So it's like not only am I getting to do this, but I'm learning and growing and playing and having
Right, right,
fun.
right.
And you can't put a number on that. That's just to me, that's like
No, definitely not.
living.
100%.
Just going back to what you said before around your gut, you did a post around talking about your intuition and your gut and how you've
Mm.
been swayed away from it previously. What made you want to talk about that video and what are some of your insights around it?
It's funny, that video had a really big reaction. I just I was just thinking about, well, how was I why did I how did I land on that? I'm trying to think how I landed on that again. I was thinking about the song Deserve that I just put out, and that I always have a pretty firm feeling about a song when I write it. If I think it's great, um, I'll get really excited in the room, that kind of like, and can't wait to show someone. And like, always have those few people that you play your music to get their opinion,
Yeah.
and you're like thinking like, oh gosh. Well, for me, I'm also thinking like, wow, this is the song that's going to change my life again, because I've had songs change my life.
Yeah.
So I know that feeling of, oh, we just wrote something big. Now, in saying that, most people think they wrote something big every day. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
We have to
I'm
kind
not
of
like
think
that.
that. Oh, okay.
You do, but I generally, I write enough songs to know that not every day is the day that you write something that changes your life.
Yeah.
But so that when I do write something that feels just that level up of like everything just feels another class above what you've been writing, and then everything just clicks, and then you go to sing it, and it sits in the perfect part of your voice, and you listen back to it on the way home and you're like, holy shit, Like, you
Yeah.
know, that's the one I was looking for. Um, you know, but the thing is that that can then you show that to somebody and they say, nah, that's not good. Then all of a sudden you question it. And then it's like you show
True.
it to one more other person, they're like, yeah, it's cool. And then slowly this thing that you really believed in and you were like, oh my gosh, like nobody can change my mind, this is it, starts to be the third song that you play for people, you know, and like you slowly just sort of back away from because of what other people think.
Yeah.
And then maybe someone says, oh yeah, I like that, but I like you better when you do, you know, the R&B stuff or whatever it is, and you're like, oh well, maybe I'm that guy, maybe this isn't my style of music, and like you just start questioning yourself, and you completely forgot about the fact that you absolutely love this thing, you know, a couple of weeks ago. And like I said, like that gut instinct is what is coming from a real place. And I think, and it's not from ego or like, oh, everything I write is great, because I don't think everything I write is great. I'm, you know, I know when I'm in the rooms with people that are more talented than me, or that are better at certain things than I am in a songwriting level. Like if someone's a better lyricist than me, then I'll lean on them. If someone's, you
Oh,
know, great with
nice.
melody, I'll lean on them. It's like there's always a bit of a power push and pull in songwriting rooms when you're co-writing.
Yep.
And you know, there's a few both the people that I wrote Deserve with today a song, they're both so individually great at what they do that, you know, at that in that session I'm almost like waiting, like trying not to fuck it up, like just like letting them do what they do best, knowing that I've got to do what I do best, and just like, you know, let it flow like we were talking about before, and not try and control the ship too
Yes.
much. So yeah, I guess that's where the whole gut thing came from. And I was just thinking in general, you know, like thinking of things that I like. Like I was thinking about doing a every Tuesday night covering songs from the OC, because I used to love watching the
Oh,
OC, right?
nice. Yeah.
And there's so many great bands that came out of that show and that launched on that show that I, you know, found, like from the Killers to Death Cab to all these indie rock bands that came out. And I was thinking, oh, I should cover an OC song every Tuesday night, because that's when it used to play. Um, and then I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. And usually I would have gone and had to ask someone if that was a good idea or not. And
Yeah.
I was running and I was like, that's a good idea because it's real to me and it's something I would like. It's something I would watch. And it's true. I did grow up watching that show and listening to all the bands that came out of the show. So I would go and watch someone on Instagram, or I would like someone on Instagram that did that.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that that's right for my brand and for me, because it's something I like. Now, no one could tell me to go do that. There's no amount of money that I could pay a social media team to come and suggest that thing for me as something I should do as a series on my TikTok or my Instagram, because they don't know me. They don't know what I like and what I don't like. And they don't know that I grew up as a huge fan of that show. And like, so just from listening to my gut or going with something
Yes.
that I like, or being nostalgic about something that I like, I've now created something that I can do every week, share with my fans something that I'm passionate about, share, you know, some styles of music that I, you know, grew up listening to, and this whole little wing thing that I can now do because I was just listening to my gut and going with something that I liked. That's where that post came from, because it was just like a bit of a blinding realization, like, you just need to do things that you like.
Yes, and we always get swayed in so many different directions, or we get talked out of it, or sharing ideas. As you said, you could write something and it might not even be finished. And like, nah, that's not going
Yeah,
to work, or it needs to be this. That's a life skill. That can even be like, I really want to eat chicken today. It's a terrible example. And they're like,
yeah,
no, we're eating fish. Like, no, I feel within me, I need to eat chicken. So now do you just feel
exactly.
like you honor that gut response? And obviously you're not perfect. No one's perfect, but
Yeah.
you're more able to hear it now.
Yeah, I like to think so. Yeah, I think becoming a parent has definitely also led me a bit more into my intuition.
Nice.
Um, but I think it's just where I'm at in life. You know what I mean? It's just like I'm caring less and less about what people think, and I ultimately just want to make, you know, myself happy in the way that, you know, not in a selfish way, but in a way that I can die with knowing that I I did it my way.
Yeah, like you're an authentic life for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And There's so many examples I've heard of your interviews of bad collaboration, but what I love is that you've spoken about good collaboration with your latest album, Deserved, and talking about those two people. What is good collaboration like as opposed to bad collaboration?
Bad collaboration is just ego. So I think anytime there's ego in the room, then you're fucked.
Is that common?
And it's so common.
Yeah.
So common. I think it's the majority of sessions that people walk into because everyone's sort of trying to prove themselves, and everyone's talented. You know, most of the people are talented in their own right in this room. There's always someone who's the best in the room, technically. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
who's the best singer, the best songwriter. Maybe they're not always the same person, but someone who's had the most success, you know, someone who's got the most Grammys or sold the most records. So it's hard to walk into a room with when you're working with successful people all the time and not feel egos in the room.
Yeah.
But ego is such a terrible thing, and um, you know, I actually don't walk in with an ego in the room in regards to, which surprises me because I can have quite a crazy ego in certain times.
Yeah.
But when it comes to songwriting, I'm very open to everybody's opinion because it is subjective a lot of the time. And I think the more you open yourself up to that, the more you'll see value in other people. Like, instead of just thinking, oh, because he's not as good a singer as me, he doesn't know where the melody should go. Um, because maybe his shitty melody, because he can't sing, is actually good because you're over singing. You know what I mean? Like, or something
Oh,
like
true.
that. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe
yeah.
his undersung melody gives it this like Post Malone cool vibe or whatever, and I'm up there singing like bloody Pavarotti, and it's just too much. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so, you know, you're not always right just because you're good at something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And also, you can be even better than someone and learn from someone way worse than you because they might have a different insight, or they might be so bad it
Exactly.
challenges you in another regard.
100%, 100%. Or just like I've worked with like a rapper lately, recently, and he didn't have a musical bone in his body, but he had a perspective, and that was the magic of the session. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I picked up the guitar and strummed the chords and wrote the melody of the song, but it was the way that he questioned everything that I did that made us walk out with the song that we walked out with, because he had a perspective. Instead of just being like, oh, you sound great, this is great, he was
Yeah.
like, oh, why don't you try saying it like this, or like, why don't you and that. So I think just keeping an open mind is key to collaborating with people, and not thinking that just because you're talented or you've had success in the past that means that you're going to get it again, or that you're any more talented or any more special than the person you're working with.
That is a very good take, and good collaboration. Is it just, you talked about the flow, just you're on the same page, you're allowing the magic to
100%,
happen.
just a mutual respect, I think. You know what I mean? As well, just like, we're here to create something special. Let's not let anything get in the way of that.
I bring up this example not to badmouth anyone, so we'll navigate this. But I know, especially when you were starting out and you're in LA and you've got all these executives and all of these people being like, work with this person, and you'd be starstruck and go, this person's so successful. I think you're working with Pharrell Williams' team, and they're
Mm.
like, you're going to be like this, we're going to do this for you, we're going to give you this country vibe. And you go in and you're like, fuck, this is going to be amazing. I'm working with one of the best, people in team, and they potentially over promise and under deliver. Then you get there and they're like, we're not actually going to work with you at all. It's not hands on. And then you still have to pay them. How do you deal with moments like that? Because that's just one example of probably many.
Yeah, it was Timberland's team actually, but
Oh,
similar,
I
same thing. I mean,
apologize.
Pharrell and Timberland used to work together a lot, so similar team. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's just part of the journey. You know, I don't look at it back at it with any malice, or, you know, in any specific type of way. I was disappointed at the time because I had idolized Tim as a producer, and, you know, he was saying, when I met him and when I sat down with his team, it was like, you know, yeah, I'm gonna be like the Aussie rock and roll
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake. Like, that sounded amazing to me. Like, hell yeah, that sounds like it perfectly on brand. Let's do that. How exciting working with an icon like that, who produced arguably one of the biggest, you know, some of the biggest R&B records in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
For him to say that to me and for me to be working in the rooms with him was incredible. But yeah, you know, he was at a different stage in his career. He'd already had a lot of success. I was still sort of searching for mine. And I think you'll find that, you know, a lot of the time when that magic strikes, it's more people coming together at the right time. And that was not the right time. That was, you know, that was essentially us trying to bring in a big name producer to give the product, to give my project a direction. And back to our previous point, that direction was only ever going to come from me. So,
Oh,
you know,
yes. But you
so
don't know
I
that
think
at
that
the time. Yeah.
I think you have certain people that can bring it out in you, and that's what a good producer should be doing. But in order to do that, that producer has to be in the room and has to be involved and be,
Yeah.
you know, committed to it, and you know, then magic can happen. You know, with the way it did with Mark Ronson and Amy Winehouse, the way that it did with Timberland and Justin Timberlake. You know, Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones. You know what I mean? That happens when a great producer sees what the artist can be, and helps the artist find that magic.
There's a story that springs to mind, and I correct me if I'm wrong. David Sonnenberg, you've moved to LA, you've got a
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about this story? Because I don't know if I heard it or read it, where you are auditioning for him, and he's on his phone, not even listening to you at the start. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. No, we were in New York.
Oh, New York.
We were showcasing for a bunch of all the record labels. I was in my band and we'd just come back from Sweden. I'd written about 10 songs. We thought we had a couple of songs that, you know, were good enough. So my manager at the time, Hayden Bell, and my publisher set us up with all these meetings in New York and in LA, and we showcased for all these record labels, Interscope, Sony, you know, all the big ones. And everybody sort of liked us, but nobody had offered us a deal yet, and was getting to the end of the trip in New York, and he sent us to see David Sonnenberg, who I didn't really know much about at the time, but he's actually a huge manager, and you know, managed the Fugees and Lauryn Hill and um who
Black Eyed
else? The
Peas.
Black Eyed Peas,
Yep.
at the time, and the Black Eyed Peas were massive at this point. Had just put out like I Got a Feeling and everything.
Oh
So
yeah.
anyway, we go to this beautiful home on the Hudson River, and we walk in, and we go up to his office, and I see like the plaques for the first time of like Lauryn Hill, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and Meatloaf, and
Oh.
the Black Eyed Peas, and you know, Grammys on the wall, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's the real deal. And he's on the phone, and he's like, what are you doing here? And then we're like, oh, we got sent by Hayden. And he was like, well, go on. And then he just keeps having this conversation on the phone while me and Matt, my guitarist, and the guy who was in my band, my best mate, I was just like, and then he's like, hurry up, play. And I'm like, all right. So we just started playing, and he after about 30 seconds, he sort of stopped and was like, wait a minute, who'd you guys say you were again? I'm like, I'm Matt. I'm sorry, I'm Conrad. This is Matt. We're in a band. Hayden sent us, and he's like, right. He's like, you got a great voice. And I was like, thanks. And he's like, hold on, give me 1 second. And then he hung up the phone. He said, I'll call you back. And he hung up the phone. And then he picks up the phone again. And I'm like, oh, fucking hell. And then literally like 20 people came walking down the stairs of his home, or office thing.
Yeah.
And he was like, push your chairs back to the corner of the room and do exactly what you just did for me again, for everyone. And I was like, all right. And so we did, and then we finished the song, and he's like, you know, well, he's like, man, you guys are really talented. He's like, Hayden can pick them, and he's like, why is it a band? And I'm like, you know, well, there's 3 more of us back home in Australia. You know, we're best mates. We've been together for 5 years. We're the real deal. And he was like, well, I didn't see it as a band. He's like, maybe it could be like a Savage Garden thing with the 2 of you. And he had managed the Veronicas at one point as well, so maybe that's where the twin thing came from.
Yeah.
But anyway, needless to say, David got involved for a little bit, and but at one point, you know, he sort of gave me the ultimatum as to leave the band and to go solo, or he didn't really want to do it. And you know, I didn't want to leave my band, so I carried on without him, and we ended up doing a deal with Universal in Germany. But it was one of those moments where it's just like, and I had a lot of those moments growing up, you know, where I was sort of given a tick of approval by people that had a lot of success in the industry, big moguls. But that was at a time where, you know, a voice and a presence in a room could do that. I don't even know if that happens anymore. I don't even know if those meetings happen where
Yeah.
now it'd be like you'd walk in there, but how many TikTok followers you got? You know what I mean? And that's
True.
sad because that was the magic to me. That was the magic of the industry. It felt like it was gatekept by like all these people, and like it seemed so special, like
Yeah.
a club, like the club that you were trying to get into your whole life, and they had the keys, and every now and then someone would flash the keys at me and be like, "Yeah, you're pretty good. You want to come
Tempt
in?"
you. I guess it's empowering in the sense that, anyone can kind of get there now, but also at the same time, the magic of being in the room, seeing these like icons, even though it's so fucked that the guy's on his phone. And also, congratulations to you for staying in grounded. A lot of people can be like, oh, okay, like Mary had you know what I mean? You can be very nervous. But you
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
I'm the real deal. And then he brings 20 people, which is nerve wracking. And you still had that confidence to just smash it out. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. Yeah, it was a crazy time, and that confidence is what's led me to where I am, and yeah, I think you've got to have that hard skin to get there, because there's going to be moments like that in your career where you're going to have to just suck it up and play ball, and I definitely have to do that so many times, which has also led to a lot of self doubt and stuff like that, but also
Yeah.
self belief. That's what makes you confident to get up on a stage and crush it, but then also makes you question whether you're good enough, which is something
That's so
isn't is,
interesting.
you should never really question, but that's where songs like Deserve and stuff come from, because it was years and years of give me some more, give me it all now, like, because I deserve to feel loved. you
Mm.
know that's the lyric, and it's coming from a real place.
I really, really liked it. And we'll get back into a sec. I just want to tie up that point. That ultimatum where you're working with, one of the big icons in the industry, and there's like, it's you or the band. And where did that, knowing, confidence, whatever you want to call it. I know you end up leaving the band, but at that stage, that's a pretty big ultimatum. That's like, were you torn on it? Was it hard? What was,
It was, but it wasn't, because my band was my life. They were my best mates. We spent every day together, and it wasn't like just a shitty little band that I had put together. It was like our band was our life. We'd invested all of our time into it, all of our money. We believed that we were great, and we didn't give a fuck about David Sonnenberg at the end of the day. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, we were like, we did, because we used to joke about we used to we used to be like, and we're all straight. We'd be like, if Jimmy Iovine said that he would give us a record deal, but you had to suck his dick, would you do it? And we'd all sit around having a beer, and I'd be like, I'd do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these are
take
the
one for
kind
the
of, if
team. Yeah.
would you ever, what would you do? Like, they'd all be like, what we would give up for
What's
the
the
band, or
limit? Yeah.
what would we do? And I
Who went
can't
the
believe I just admit
furthest?
that.
Who would go
We would, but that's what I mean. That's how much it meant to us. We would be like, all right, would you kill Matt if somebody would give us a record
And
deal?
they're
You
like,
know what I
I kill
mean?
him
Like,
twice. Yeah.
yeah, like, it was hilarious. But so it meant everything to us. So it wasn't, and it meant everything to all of us. Even though obviously later down in the track, it was key that for some of us it meant more than the others.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah, at that time it was never really a question in my mind that I was making the right decision.
I'm glad that the whole team would take one, one by one.
Yeah.
That's a great band. And just like some small hardships that also came on because it also built to like Deserved and stuff. How you started, I know you don't like talking about this, so I'll just skim it. Australian Idol,
Mm,
you're on it, and all it did was negatively impact you because you went to an all boys school and they teased you for singing.
yeah.
Then you like go to Sweden, and I think you hired someone from Sweden. You gave him
Mm,
$60,000 to produce your music. Doesn't end up finishing it. You're with your bandmates living in like a pool room for a year, traveling with them. That's just a
mm.
small snippet of some of like the inverted commas, the hardships. I'm sure you look back and you love it.
Yeah.
But like 60K in Sweden's like crazy. All of
Yeah.
these things. Do you look back and go like, wow, look like you're proud of the grind and what you've done? And that leads.
Yeah, I do now. I do, and I look back and I think they're the best times in my life. They were the hardest times in my life as well, though.
Mm,
But it was just like we were like gypsies, man. It was amazing. You know what I mean? Like, we were so poor. We were so we just go to the opening of an envelope. We put ourselves on a plane. I mean, I've got on planes before and traveled halfway across the world with negative funds in my bank account and not knowing
wow.
how the hell I was going to buy a burger when I landed,
Mm,
and just doing it, and with like the risks and like anybody with a sane brain wouldn't have done it. You know what I mean? Anybody with half a conscience or like half a conscience, even in the sense of like, oh, I'm probably going to have to borrow money off someone, or I'm going to have to sleep on someone's floor for 3 months, or, you know, shit that's like you don't do if you're like a responsible grown up. You know what I mean? But we weren't. I had a one track mind that was make it in the music industry and like be famous and be one of the biggest singers in the planet. And anybody who told me that wasn't going to happen, I would hate. And anybody who was getting in my way, I would move them, and I would find the people that were going to support it. And I didn't care how risky it was, or, you know, the chances. I didn't think about, you know, this pretty slim chance of this happening. To me, there was the biggest chance of it happening.
Oh, I love that self-belief. And did you ever, like, based on what you said and talked about self-belief and all of that stuff, did you ever feel like you arrived? Was there a moment you felt like you arrived, or when you arrived, you're going to arrive on another level? What's
I don't feel like I've arrived yet. Still, I feel like I've
Oh,
still not
wow.
that not in the way that I would like to arrive.
Yep.
I feel like when I came home to Australia and I was on tour with Ed Sheeran, and I, you know, I started again, went #1 and stuff like that, and I won the ARIA. That was like, oh, I've arrived in Australia.
Yep.
This feels great. But outside of that, it's been a lot of, like, I can admit that I've had successes and that I've
Nice.
done more than most, and I'm very grateful for what I have. But in no way do I feel like I have got where I wanted to be, or where I quote unquote deserve to be.
Yep.
Um, and that's okay because I'm not there for a reason. Um, and I like to think that there is still a whole nother level of success that I haven't touched that is waiting for me if I play my cards right in the next 10 years.
Oh, very interesting. And is that what's also, this is a double question, you know, talking about deserved, that also talks about addiction and bringing the light back. And then you've also got another song, Walk On, which was really powerful for me. Is that like,
Mm.
is that, I don't even know what the question is. Is that just about, you know, the internal looking within and allowing and seeing what the life can be? Like, what brought about those two songs? Because they're similar in the sense of what the message is, or at least to me.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's about that's. I mean, I'm 37. Like I said, I've had an incredible journey, but it doesn't feel over. I'm still making great music. I'm you know, I'm in an industry that's very hard. You know, it's changed a lot, and
Yeah.
you know, it's hard to navigate. You know, this, like I said, the successes, the gatekeepers, everything's changed. So I don't know what success looks like now in 2025. Um, for me, it's about continuing no matter what and not giving up until I get to a place where I'm like, you know, this feels really good. And what feels really good for me is having a fan base all around the world, being able to grace the stages all over the world, even if that's just theaters and there's 1,000 people in every city, that's more than enough. And you know, I mean,
Nice.
I say that now, I'm sure it won't be enough when I get to 1,000, but you know, just having an international fan base and it not just being in Australia is what I really want to work towards in this next couple of years, and um, you know, be able to tour in the US comfortably and in the UK, and I think these days you can only get that by just being consistent with your social media and the quality of the art you're putting out, and you know, treating that shit like a full-time job because that's what it is.
I like the shifts that you've made and, you know, also alluding to the two songs plus your other songs as well. You've gone through a massive journey. Obviously, we won't be able to cover it all, but even just, I
Mm.
know at times, I think you're on Men's Health magazine as well, which was crazy. You got really fit for that. What has inspired the change? I know that's quite loaded, you know, eating better. I think at times stopping like drugs and alcohol. What has led you to this, you know, new journey?
I think just like I said, life, like that's, if I'm 80 and I look back on my life, I'm pretty sure I will look back on it and it just be like music was the thread of my life.
Yeah.
It was my career, it was my North Star. It was the way I expressed myself. It was the way I felt happiness. And because of that, yeah, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Um,
There's obviously like a point where I know like your sister wrote a song, your mum like mentioned wanted you to like get on track, but still for you, you can hear all the external noise internally for you to go, you know what, I actually want to make some changes. And it seems health wise, you've made massive changes also internally. I don't know. I think you may have mentioned you've meditated, but you go to therapy, you do all of this stuff.
I think like I said, yeah, it's just been part of me developing. Like I've come to these crossroads throughout my life, and now it's like I've grown up, and music has been the thing that's helped point me in the right direction. As in, my career has been the right thing, because that's been the driving force.
Yeah.
Obviously, having kids and all that along the way, that makes you change. That makes you, fix up, look sharp a little bit. So some responsibility
Yeah.
has made me change a little bit. All these things help, but having something that you care about and something that you're passionate about, and having moments where you feel like that might slip away because, you're not doing right by yourself or by somebody else. um, you know, that'll shake you up, I think.
Definitely.
And that's what happened, I think. I've had a few shakeups and realized, what, I'm pretty lucky here. I should probably not fuck this up.
How does it feel to be healthier now? And was it super cool to be on the cover of that men's magazine?
Yeah, it was. I want to go one deeper and be even in better shape. I'm trying to get in the best shape of my life right now. It feels great. I mean, health is wealth, man. That all the real stereotypes in life are real, and I love waking up not hungover. I still drink, from time to time, and when I do now, I really feel it, like, in every sense of the word. Like, I don't feel good. I'm not at the point where I'm still at the point where it still serves me in some ways, which is why I still drink.
Yeah.
Um, but because I like the feeling that it gives me when I first start drinking. But everything after that, it kind of sucks. So it kind of, it really messes with me now, because now I want to wake up and go on a 10K run. And
Oh
if I have
no.
a few beers, then, I don't want to do that. And I get the same amount of dopamine from doing a 10K run as I do a couple of beers. So now I just need to, like, shift my mindset completely, so that I only want that kind of good, good stuff in my life. Because I think, I don't know, that's just where I'm at right now. Like I said, the problem with me is that alcohol's fixed a lot for me in my life. In a sense, it's ruined a lot for me, but it quiets the noise in my head a lot. And you know I still use it as a crutch for a lot of feelings.
Yeah.
So ultimately, that's, you know caused me to use it in negative ways as well.
Well, it sounds like you've had a massive shift and you've alluded to this, and we'll have to talk about this another time, just like drinking all the time, partying all the time. And now, you're looking at
Oh yeah.
other aspects in your life. I think that's an amazing shift. What else do you do for your physical and mental health?
Yeah, I'm just starting to try and get into the meditation and stuff. I pray a lot. I think spirituality and faith is a huge part of life, and something that's really important to me. And so, yeah, I mean, I think just taking care of your body, your mind, and your soul, and just trying to be a good person, I guess. Try to not to lie as much as I used to. Try to do the right thing, and be a good partner and a good dad and a good friend. And I think if you do the right things in life, usually life will repay you in the right way.
I like that. And I recommend people check your walk on story about, not only talking about resilience, but also you
Yeah.
encourage other people to talk about their story and normalize it. I think that's amazing. That
Yeah.
ties in very well.
Thanks,
But
mate.
if I can find it, they'll be in the episode notes. I think that's a great way to normalize and also encourage people to, live their best lives. Before we
Yep.
go, you've got a really great tour, also with your sister, which is exciting. How are you feeling for it?
I'm super excited, man. I've never toured with her before, and just feels like a chance for us to show. show a side of us that we haven't, and for Australia to get to see some, you know, some incredible songs and some big voices do what we've done our whole lives and do what we do best. And it's going to feel like a big family show, lots of collaboration on stage.
Cool.
And it's just nice, you know, being able to do that and share that with someone that you love so much. And I'm really close with my sister, is massive. And I really feel like it's going to be a special show that, you know, I hope people come out for.
I think the date's June. Regardless, they're in the episode notes.
Yes, June. Yes, they are in June. Yeah,
and they're all across, I think, the major cities in Australia, so people check them out.
Yeah, major cities, just not Perth, unfortunately. But we're back with another regional tour at the end of the year as well. So hopefully, yeah, if you miss out, but yeah, this is going to be a really special one.
Last question on that. Is it not crazy, not only to perform with your sister, that you're the first siblings to top the charts in the same month since the Jacksons?
Yeah, incredible stat. I love it because I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan, and we grew up listening to Janet as well, obviously. Just one of those, like you said, the billion streaming thing. It's just one of those things where it's a bit of a pinch in yourself moment. Like, that's really something that we can claim. It's incredible. So, yeah, just a beautiful thing and something that I'm super proud of.
Amazing. You're a very uplifting, empowering guy. Before we go, how can people follow you and keep up to date with you?
Yeah, Conrad Official is my handle on everything, Instagram, TikTok. And yeah, just stay tuned. I'm pretty active on all the things.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And
awesome, man. Thanks so much. I'm about to lose you. I appreciate you, dude. That was a great interview. You're very good at what you do.
I love how Conrad talks about the journey of trusting his gut. In life, and especially in the arts, there can be, as the saying goes, too many chefs in the kitchen who all want to have their own opinions and ideas of how things should be. Conrad reminds us that even with all the background noise, it's important to listen to our own voice and trust our gut, as often we already know and can feel what is best. At times, we can feel like someone else knows more than us, that they're more experienced or the so-called expert in the field, but it's still vital that we trust ourselves and acknowledge that. He gives the brilliant example of how he wanted to sing songs from the OC because it felt authentic and true to himself. Something he says no social media agency or team would have been able to recognize or even suggest. By trusting his gut and knowing this was right for him, he was able to give his fans something enjoyable and from the heart. Also love how he spoke about not letting others' opinions get in the way of our true inner knowledge. And as he says, you could have incredible songs, but by listening to external voices and going astray from one's inner voice, ideas can lose all their power when we give it over. That is not to say we should ignore all advice. It is merely recognizing when something feels great and authentic inside. My takeaway is simple. No one knows you better than you. So I'll leave you with this epic quote. No one knows you better than you know yourself. Do the thing you want. Don't wait for someone else. Madonna. Thank you for listening to the Funny and Failure podcast, exploring the deeper side of comedy and life.